all started with a headache. Not a scream in the night, not a shadow in the corner, just a simple, ordinary headache. It was the morning of September 29th, 1982. In a quiet Chicago suburb, 12-year-old Mary Kellerman woke up feeling a little under the weather. Runny nose, sore throat, the usual stuff that comes with cold season. Her dad did what any parent would do. He handed her a Tylenol. Minutes later, Mary had collapsed. By sunrise, Mary was gone. That same day, in another part of the city, a man named Adam Janus took a Tylenol for some chest pain he was having. A healthy 27-year-old postal worker, gone within hours. His family gathered to grieve. To comfort each other, they took Tylenol from the same bottle that Adam had used. 2 more lives had ended before the day was even done. At first, nobody saw the pattern, the connections between them, but in the hours that followed, more victims began to appear, and Chicago would soon realize that something or someone had turned a trusted everyday medicine into a weapon. This is the day the world would learn even the most ordinary things can kill you. So grab a light and let's step into the dark together. Mary Kellerman was only 12. She was the kind of kid who still left notes for her parents on the kitchen counter. That morning, she just wanted to feel better. Single Tylenol was supposed to help. Adam Janus was 27, a husband, a postal worker, a guy everyone at the office said was easy to get along with. When he collapsed at home, doctors thought it was a heart attack. Hours later, his family sat around his kitchen table, heartbroken. They reached for the same bottle of Tylenol that Adam had taken. Stanley Janus and Teresa Janus never woke up again. Across town, Mary McFarland was at work when she took a capsule during her break. Moments later, her co-workers found her collapsed on the floor. Mary Reiner had just brought a new baby into this world. She took a Tylenol for the aches that follow childbirth. Her husband later said she never even finished the bottle. And finally, Paula Prince, a 35-year-old flight attendant for United Airlines, she was found days later in her apartment. The same Tylenol bottle was sitting open on her bathroom floor. 7 lives gone within days. No connection, no shared routines, no common places, except one. A white and red bottle millions of people trusted. For Chicago, fear was spreading faster than any poison could, and the question that haunted everyone was simple. If this could happen to them, what's stopping it from happening to me? In the hours after Adam had died, no one suspected poison. He was young, healthy. It made no sense. The doctors were confused, but they also had seen sudden heart failure before. Then, just hours later, 2 more patients were rushed into the same emergency room. Adam's own brother and sister-in-law both collapsed without warning. A nurse who treated Adam earlier that day started connecting the dots. She retraced every step she could remember, what Adam had eaten, what he had taken, and the same brand name kept coming up, Extra-Strength Tylenol. That same answer echoed from the Kellerman family. She took a Tylenol this morning. Samples were rushed to the state crime lab. When the technicians had opened a capsule, they caught this faint scent of almonds, which is the calling card for cyanide. The tests confirmed it. The capsules weren't medicine anymore, they were poison. Within hours, patrol cars rolled through the neighborhoods of Chicago with blare horns that just kept repeating, "Do not take Tylenol." Repeat, "Do not take Tylenol." Pharmacies locked their doors. News anchors jumped into TV series. Mid-sentence, things went chaotic. And for the first time, millions of people across the country looked at something they'd trusted their whole lives and saw a killer hiding inside. By the time lab results hit the news, it was already too late to stay calm. Reporters interrupted daytime TV, police cars drove street to street, warning people to throw away their Tylenol. Grocery stores and pharmacies emptied their shelves. Some people dumped their entire medicine cabinets into the trash, terrified that one pill could kill them. Hospitals were flooded with calls from people who had taken Tylenol even days, hours earlier, asking if they were going to die. In Chicago, the fear felt alive, spreading faster than rumor. Inside Johnson & Johnson headquarters, executives made a decision no one really expected. They pulled 31 million bottles off the shelves, worth over $100 million, and told the public, bring it back, throw it out, just don't take it. It was the first recall of its kind, and it sent shockwaves through every industry in America. The red and white label that once promised relief had become a symbol of fear. But while the shelves emptied and the trust crumbled, one question echoed through every newsroom in every home. If these pills were poisoned, who put them there? This whole investigation exploded overnight. Chicago police and FBI and the FDA joined forces, hundreds of agents chasing the one impossible question. How do you find a killer who could strike anywhere, at any time, using something in every household in America? At first, they thought it might have been a factory error, a chemical leak, contamination during production, until they realized every tainted bottle came from a different plant, a different batch, and a different store. That meant the killer had done it after the medicine had already hit the shelves. Someone had gone through and opened those bottles, replaced the capsules with poison, and then quietly put them back. Then came the letter. Johnson & Johnson received a handwritten note claiming responsibility for the murders, demanding $1 million to make them stop. The writer signed it James W. Lewis. He lived in New York, had a background in fraud, and knew his way around chemistry. When the FBI raided his home, they found books on poison, anatomy, and forensics. But there was a problem. There was no proof he'd ever been in Chicago that week. Lewis went to prison for extortion, not murder, and the trial went cold. Investigators had theories, suspects, even names, but honestly, they had no answers. The first random product tampering case in America had become a ghost story with no face. The fear didn't stop in Chicago. Once the story broke, reports began coming from everywhere, all over the country. Needles in food, poison in nasal sprays, glass in baby food. That just blows my mind. Anyway, most of them were hoax, some weren't. The panic grew so large it became a life of its own. Stores locked up painkillers behind the counters, parents checked every seal twice, lawmakers scrambled to restore the order. In 1983, the Federal Anti-Tampering Act was passed, making it a federal crime to alter or poison any consumer product punishable by life in prison. Tampered Vic seals, foil wraps, safety bands all became mandatory. It was the dawn of a new kind of fear, the realization that even the most ordinary parts of life could be weaponized. As panic faded, search for the suspect only grew more desperate. James W. Lewis stayed the prime name, smart, manipulative, fascinated by chemistry, but honestly, still, nobody had any hard proof. He served his time for extortion and walked free and never stopped talking about the case himself. Then there was Roger Arnold, a dock worker from Chicago who became tangled in rumors that he was the killer. The gossip destroyed him. He spiraled, grew paranoid, and one night went out to confront the man he thought had started the rumor. But he did end up shooting the wrong person, and Arnold went to prison for murder, but just not for the Tylenol murders. Decades passed, detectives retired, leads went cold. The Tylenol murder became a phantom, one that haunted every unopened bottle and every investigator who refused to let it go. For nearly 30 years, the Tylenol murder sat untouched, sealed away in evidence lockers. Then, in 2009, the FBI reopened the case. Armed with new tools, new science, and old questions, they retested everything. Bottles, fingerprints, the ransom note. They re-interviewed suspects, followed old trails, hoping that modern DNA could succeed where the past had failed. Every path led back to the one name, James W. Lewis. He still denied everything, but his answers never quite fit. He knew things no one outside of the investigation should have known. But even after all the tests, all the years, there was still nothing solid, no DNA, no prints, no proof. In 2023, the FBI had finally closed the case. They named James as their #1 prime suspect, but admitted they could never prove it. That same year, Lewis died, in his home in Massachusetts, taking whatever truth he had with him. 4 decades later, the Tylenol killer remains faceless. The story that started with a single headache has now ended in silence. More than 40 years later, the Tylenol murders are remembered for less than what was lost and more for what had changed. Because what had really died that week wasn't just 7 lives, it was certainty. Certainty that the things we buy are safe. Certainty that the world even makes sense. After 1982, every seal, every safety cap, every warning label became a quiet monument to fear. A reminder that danger doesn't always come kicking down the door. Sometimes it awaits quietly in your bathroom cabinet. Johnson & Johnson's recall rebuilt the trust on the surface. Sure, the shelves filled, people went back to their routines, but something stayed broken underneath. We learned that one person with one idea and one handful of pills could bring an entire nation to its knees, and that realization never really goes away. Even now, decades later, the Tylenol murders lingers like an old echo, not just in the laws or the packaging, but in the way we glance twice at anything that's already been opened. Alright guys, that's everything for the Tylenol murders from me. I had a really good time looking into this one. It was a very interesting case and kind of unsolved, kind of solved. You be the decision on that one. If there's anything that you guys would like me to go into or look into next, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I am definitely curious to see what you guys would like to see me look at. But yeah, so until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and stay spooky. Bye guys.